Hello, and welcome to the Hello You Show, where we talk about big dreams and taking real action. Through transformative stories, a bit of neuroscience, and real conversations, this show is here to help you explore creating your next level life with authenticity and passion. I'm Jessica Rice, a design techie and former engineering leader turned vision evolution coach on a mission to help other women rise up and lead a life of purpose. So get cozy and say hello again to the real you. Hello and welcome back to the Hello You Show. My name is Jessica Rice and I am your host for today's show. And I really want to talk today about our decisions to succeed, because every day we make a choice as to what we do that, accumulates to our own success. The steps that we take, the little decisions that we make, everything adds up to our overall success. And so we always have every day a choice and a decision. It really boils down to that, a choice and a decision. We can either step up and into our power, or we can use it as an excuse for our fear. Our personal power is incredibly terrifying when we finally decide that we're going to tap into that little voice, the things that keep showing up for us and are screaming louder and louder for us to listen. It can seem a little bit overwhelming, and it sometimes shows up so strong that we are afraid of ourselves. We are afraid that once we step into that power, we're really not sure what's going to happen. And that's where our brain really wants to keep us safe. It wants to let us know, like, oh, I don't know, we're going into uncharted territories right now. However, what our brain doesn't fully understand is that when we start to step into that, that's where we start to see change. That's where we start to see results. Because if you want to see change, then you have to do something different in your life. You have to approach things in a different way. If you want to keep the same life, then continue to do the same things. So if you are ready to step into your power, then I want you to think about, what are those choices that I have every single day? And what are the decisions that I'm making? We all worry about rejection and self-doubt and fear around that. But when you know that what you have to share is so important, it's bigger than yourself, that it aligns with a greater passion, purpose, mission, vision for your life, now it's easier to go and stand up there and say something because it has purpose. Oftentimes we're thinking about, when we go out and we put our thought leadership out there, we're putting ourselves out there, that it's about us. We have to remove ourselves from the equation, because the reason that we move into doing things, those little callings inside of us, are not from a selfish point of view. It's not from being selfish. It's from having a greater message to share. So if you can align yourself with the message, if you can align yourself, these actions that you do every single day are not about you so much as they are the message. It becomes a lot easier, because it's less about then how you're showing up or if you're failing. Just like when we all have to do a speech or go onto stage or do something, in our work, at a presentation that's been asked of us. Have you ever noticed that even though we're scared, it's a little bit easier because it's not of our own fruition. It's not of our own doing. Well, I was asked to do this. I was forced to do this. So I guess I have to. Well, when you align your passion and your purpose with the things that are larger than yourself, this message, this is where you have to show up in your life. This is where you have a greater meaning and value. And so, yes, are you the driver of it? Absolutely. But is it only about you? And you need to ask yourself that question. Is this only about you, or is it greater than you? Because every single day that we make a decision and we make a choice, we are also deciding not to do something else. We're deciding what that can look like as well. So if we don't do the scary thing, then that message may never get out there. It may never be received. It's just still locked away inside of you. So we have to develop some systems, some structures, some ways that we can go forward and put ourselves out there so that it becomes easier. And a big piece of that is personal resilience and grit, is this knowing and understanding that because this is larger than me, I need to create a rhythm. I need to create a system for myself that enables me to show up in the capacity that's required of me in order to deliver this message on a greater level. And this is something we continually work on and evolve into growing, because any time that we start something new, we're like a fish out of water. We're a colt who's intended to be a sprinter, right? We've got these amazing running legs. We just don't know how to use them. So the more that you get out there, the more that you put yourself out there, the more that you understand how to build those muscles, how to use the strength from within you to truly shine. So when we lean into our resilience, this is where we can start to separate ourselves from fear, from shame, from self-doubt, and really step into our power. And when I say resilience, it's not the kind of stress that we talk about, like say with work, where it starts to drain us. It's the kind of decision that when you step into it and you feel proud of what you've done, it actually energizes you and it fills up your cup. Because whether we realize it or not, when we're not doing the thing that we know we're called to do, when we're not saying the things, we're not spreading what we feel is so valuable and important to share with other people, that in and of itself is draining us. Because our mind and our body knows that this is the message that we're supposed to be putting out there. And so we are actively resisting rather than actively just doing. Angela Duckworth talks a lot about the concept of grit, both in her book and with her work in Character Lab, where she uses science-based techniques with children to help them build personal resilience, growth mindset, and character. And so I ask you, when's the last time you thought about your own character? There were a lot of books in the 70s and the 80s that talked about the character of a man, woman. But when's the last time that you thought about yourself, your character, how you show up, your accountability, your integrity, all of the things that enable you to do things beyond what you feel like? Sometimes we have to dig our heels in to attain the things that we want to create within our lives, right? We have to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. We have to remove fear and shame and worry and just put ourselves out there imperfectly. There is no such thing as perfect. In fact, perfection is just a judgment on ourselves that we make every single day. So if you were to eliminate perfection, what would you instead then lean into? What would your excuse be if it didn't have to be perfect? Just show up and do the thing. Leaning into your message. It's bigger than you, and it's what gives you your power. And we have to ask ourselves too, if you don't show up and do the thing today that you know that you're supposed to be doing, then what are the results of not doing it? What will the outcome be by not doing it and stepping into your character, your integrity, your message? So how do we develop personal resilience? How do we cultivate this to a greater extent within our lives? There's a few techniques. One is focus your mind. Go from feeling scattered to purposeful and really start thinking about everything that you do. What is the end goal? What is the end result? What is the end purpose? When you start using your time and your energy and your efforts, and it's solely focused on the areas in your life that bring meaning and matter, you find that some of the other things start to dissipate away. And you really can then hone in and zero in on what those core values are for yourself. See, I was listening to something the other day about how people will often say if you want to be successful, then you might have to sacrifice things within your life, people within your life, things that are valuable and meaningful, like our children. Those are our core values. Those are the things that further us forward. That's what keeps us attached to the mission. So don't really confuse success with having to eradicate or eliminate relationships that are valuable and important within your life. So it doesn't mean to sacrifice. What it means is to lean into the things that are necessary. So you might have less Netflix time, but more family time, more quality time, more intentional time related to the things that are meaningful and purpose driven. So lean into that. That's number 2. Lean into your purpose. It's important to know why we do something. What are those repercussions by not doing it? Simon Sinek talks a lot about finding our why. What is the repercussion of not following through? What will that lead to in your life? What types of regrets? What types of change? Will you see change at all? Will you be leading a life that you know that you're intended to be doing? Really ask yourself those questions. If I don't lean into my why, if I don't lean into my purpose and do the scary thing, what will my life then look like? Find your rhythm. How do you work best? Really hone in on that. That's true for anything we do in life. All of us are unique and different. How do you work best? When do you wake up and have those light bulb moments? Or is it in the night? Is it in the evening? How do you work best? Really get clear on you, what it is that you uniquely need, what are the right ingredients to create and facilitate change and facilitate growth and facilitate you delivering on your message, your thought leadership, the value that you're going to create in another individual's life. When does this work best for you? Find those pockets of time, find those pockets of brilliance, and leverage it to the greatest extent. And number 4, create daily habits. Consistency creates continuity. Once you start doing something, make it a habit. Start creating structure within your life so that it doesn't feel like you're floating around, which goes back to then focus, right? Understanding how you're using your time. Create systems, create structure. It doesn't have to be so rigid. Bake in flexibility, but understand when you work best. Understand when you show up best. Understand when you can create time for yourself that will further get you to where you want to be and propel you to the next step, the next level. We all need to have grit, because when we receive challenges, when we have setbacks, that is what takes us the furthest, right? We go from feeling maybe overwhelmed, maybe stuck. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this isn't my life's calling. Where we have negative self-talk and doubt, to standing up and just moving forward anyways. There are so many times in our lives when we are emotionally charged in the decisions that we create. Go from being emotionally charged in your decisions to logically basing your decisions. See, when you have a purpose and a why, that lights us up, it inspires us, and it does give us that feeling of an emotional charge. But what you're also doing is connecting for your brain why you're doing something. And so that it's going from today, I feel like doing this, to today, these are the things I have to do to further my cause, to further the message, to further the things that I need to create and do to deliver it. None of us feels like showing up for work on a Monday after the weekend. We don't feel like doing a lot of things. None of us feels like cleaning the house or doing laundry or cooking dinner sometimes or having to go to the doctor. There's a ton of things that we do every single day that we don't want to do emotionally. If we were to choose, we wouldn't, but we do it anyways. We show up anyways. And it's called discipline. We all have discipline to a greater extent in one way or another that enables us to move from emotionally based decision making to logically based decision making. And that is what keeps us from completely losing our jobs. It keeps us, gainfully employed or with a house over our heads or feeding our children or doing all of the things that we need to do in order to survive. It's discipline. Well, if you look at your life and your purpose and your why, it's the same. So why are you separating out the things, this message, this important piece of your life from the rest that requires discipline? It's all the same. It's your life. Merge it together so that you show up for yourself every day, so that you are making decisions that are logical and sound, that will help you to move forward. Shannon Lee's book, Be Water, My Friend, she talks about her teachings with her father, Bruce Lee. Now, whether you're into martial arts or not, there's beautiful guidance in relation to how he thought. So whether you are a leader or an entrepreneur, everything that he was thinking about was how you are adaptable and malleable and continue to grow and to learn. These are lessons for life. We all have discipline to one extent or another. It just really determines how great is our discipline in the areas that we think are valuable. Are we putting it in the same category as survival? And I would argue with you that if you're wondering like, oh, well, I'm surviving fine without going forward and doing these things, ask yourself, are you? Are you truly surviving or thriving and living a life that you want to be living by not putting yourself out there? Is that fulfilling for you? Is it thriving? Is it even surviving? Or is it really just existing? There's a quote from the book. It says, people have to go through skillful frustrations. Otherwise, they have no incentive to develop their own means and ways of coping with the world. The world is always going to set us back. It's always going to knock us on our butt. It's always going to put us in a position where we have a decision to make. Do I get up and move forward? Or do I just stay stuck? Do I stay down? We have to find that grit and resilience within ourselves in order to do the big things. That's what separates people within society from going out and historically doing amazing things. They weren't given the golden keys or the golden road to walk down. They just understood that discipline and the message that they had to deliver and the things that they had to do in their lives was important enough to show up and do it every single day. And so if it's important enough to you, then it's important enough for you to show up and do it and show up for yourself and show up for others and show up for what it is that you have to bring. Again, if it's not about you, it's something greater. It's even more of a reason. It's even more of a cause. It's even more important. And it's less about just you and your needs. You are the vessel, the vehicle, the deliverer of it. We are humans. We are fallible. We sometimes don't set ourselves up for the greatest success. And so really encourage you to develop and build practices within your lives to develop grit and resilience. And so some ways that you can continue to do this is really put some tools in place. One of them is you can use Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. She has a whole book on it, but it's simply, thinking of a rocket ship that's about to shoot off into the moon. Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. Just go. So if there's days where you're laying in bed and you don't really know if you feel like doing it, or you just aren't, really aligned today, count down and do it. Sometimes that's the impetus that we need just to get going, and then we feel better. Have you ever had that experience, or maybe if you have children, they don't feel like going to, say, the sports that they've signed up for, and they, cry and they're upset about it and they don't want to go, and then guess what? They go, and then they have a fun time. It's the same thing. Sometimes we just don't feel like it. But when we do it, we feel better about ourselves. And you're teaching your mind something there. You are teaching your mind that it actually feels good to lean into that drive rather than to just escape from it. Meditation, heart-focused breathing, mental fitness. These are 3 things that I highly encourage to bring greater mental clarity for yourself. And I would add to that sleep. Make sure that you are filling up your cup in the ways that you need so that you are cognitively capable of stepping into what it is that you need to do every single day. If we are not putting ourselves in the right conditions, it is so much harder for us to be operating at 100%. If our circadian rhythms are off, if we are scattered, if we're not allowing time for ourselves to just focus back in, then we are not allowing for ourselves to operate in the way that we need. So you can use meditation as a wonderful tool to create greater clarity and focus. Heart-focused breathing from HeartMath Institute, another really valuable tool. They have their global coherence app that you can download for free. Goes into heart rate variability and understanding what your coherence is in relation to your heart rate variability. The more your variability within your heart rate, the less stress. If you are showing that your heart rate variability is not changing very much because you are constantly frozen in a state of panic or fear, that shows high stress, high worry, high anxiety. So know your body and understand it. Mental fitness is another tool from Positive Intelligence. This is where you take 3 minutes and you really focus your mind in to something, whether it's kind of rubbing your fingertips together or looking very clearly and focused on a picture, noticing every detail of something, listening intently, creating ways for your mind to go from really scattered to greater focus. And the more that you can do this for yourself on a daily basis, the greater your mind is at understanding and distilling down what's important at a given time. Going back to executive functioning, go out in nature. Soothing effects of nature have incredible impact on our mind and our body. Just being connected with the outside world, with nature, with trees, with what that brings in our lives. How often are you deliberately doing these things? Get away from your electronics. If there's one theme here, it's kind of get away from all the noise, from all the things that are looking for your and vying for your attention. things that keep us scattered. Go from scattered to focused. All those notifications on your phone, all those notifications on Slack or Teams or email, all of the things on social media, all of it scattering our mind. Create space for yourself where you are electronic free, distraction free, able to create clarity. The greatest issue that we're starting to see in our lives, in the world, is a lack of focus due to the fact that we are asking our minds to cognitively create space for more and more and more, and it's coming at us at rapid speed. We never in the history of mankind had to function in this way. And so we're wondering why our executive functioning is dropping when we're trying to multitask on all of these things, and we're sending our brains into multiple different patterns. So bring it back and do this for yourself. And then lastly, habit stacking. This is a way that you can create that daily routine where you are taking like things and doing them at the same time, which you often do already in your morning routine, whether you brush your teeth, wash your face, take your shower, brush your hair, right? We're doing things at the same time. They are like things. They are similar. Do that for your goals. Do that for the things that drive you forward in that purpose. This will lessen your cognitive load from having to keep track of different things that you're supposed to be doing, and release stress and worry so that you can focus. So the more that you can create efficiencies within your life, productivity boosts by doing like things at the same time, the more time you're going to find for doing the things that sometimes you say you don't have time to do. Sometimes we don't follow through on our big dreams and our purpose and our goals because we say we do not have time. But if you're finding efficiencies and you're doing like things, and we're cognizant of not responding every single second to the thing that's now calling our attention, we are cutting time down in how we spend it and what's required in order to complete a task. Breathe life into your goals, your dreams, your mission. All of these have meaning. Mission, vision, purpose, they don't mean the same things. They are uniquely different in terms of how they come together for this larger picture of what it is that you were looking to create in your life. What's the story you want to deliver? Who do you want to reach? Who do you want to put out information to that creates an impact that only you can deliver based upon the unique experiences, life circumstances, knowledge, expertise, skills, personality that you combined bring? And then go out and put it forth. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I hope it gave you some different insights. I'd love to hear what comes to mind for you when you're thinking about putting yourself out there and showing up for yourself, and in effect, showing up for that vision and that message that you have to deliver in the world. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and please join us again next week as we talk about other amazing topics with another guest. See you then. Thank you for tuning into the Hello You Show. It's been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey today. If you found value in our conversation and want to support the show, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd also deeply appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also enables others seeking inspiration and authenticity to discover our community. Until next time, keep embracing your story with purpose.